This is a really exciting fight, man. We have Ketlin Vieira versus Yana Kunitskaya, man. So we got Vieira, who's fighting out of Nova União out there in Brazil, versus Kunitskaya, who's training Team Maheta, man. You know that Kunitskaya, she got a relationship with Thiago Santos. You know that?
I heard that in actually her last fight. She said
Yeah.
Thiago Santos was her head corner as well as their relationship.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter nonetheless. I just thought it was an interesting thing to point
Right.
out. You know what I mean? It's like that's a real good dude to have as your trainer or whatever the case may be, especially when you're trying to put away some of these females in the bantamweight division. But nonetheless, man, Ketlin Vieira, man, listen, she's number 6. Kunitskaya is number 7, and this is a big match because if Vieira can win this, man, she's putting herself in prime position to try to challenge Amanda Nunes for that championship belt. But Vieira, she is tied for the second longest win streak in the division with 4. Amanda Nunes has 9. Now, a bunch of people got 4 right now, but she's 11-1-0. She's made a pretty good run in the UFC, 5-1-0. 2 knockouts, 4 submissions, 5 decisions versus Kunitskaya, who is 13-5-0 in MMA, but 3-2 in the UFC, man. And it's been a tough road for Kunitskaya, man. Let me just talk about her last 5. Her UFC debut was against Cyborg, where she just got starched immediately. You know what I mean? She got knocked out in the first round. Then she fought Lena Landsberg, big win, unanimous decision. Marlon Renaud, she got a win, unanimous decision. That's impressive as well. And then, faced a little bit of trouble against Aspen Ladd, man. Aspen Ladd knocked her out in the 3rd round, and that exposed some of Kunitskaya's deficiencies on the ground. And then she was able to come back against Julia Stolyarenko in her last fight with a unanimous decision win. But I think that Kunitskaya, though, I'm really high on her, and I think she's really high level. I think what her draw has been this entire time is that she's always been big for the bantamweight class. She's been taller, she's been longer than everybody that she's fought. Well, that's not the case against Vieira here, man, because Vieira, dude, she's 5'8", so she's 2 inches taller. She's got a 68 each reach, so it's about equal. So that reach advantage for Kunitskaya goes away. And she's a little bit younger, man, 29 years old. But here's the thing that I got to point out. I'm sure you saw it in the Poliana Viana fight versus Mallory Martin. There's something that's going on with these Brazilians, man, where they're coming out, these high-level BJJ Brazilians, where they're coming out and they're dropping bombs on people, but they're so flat-footed, man. They're coming out flat-footed and just sitting down on all of their punches. And I think that could be the detriment to Vieira, because Kunitskaya, she utilizes her movements, right? But where is she best at? In the clinch, dropping big knees in the clinch. And I just don't think that'll be a good place for her this one. So, let's not spend too much time on this one because we still got to hit the main event. But what are your thoughts on this fight, man?
It's exactly that, man. I'm very high on the Brazilians coming out because they're so good on the ground that they're able to let their hand go and feel comfortable. And I think the next evolution is going to be when they learn to start bouncing on their toes instead of be so flat-footed. Now you have Ketlin Vieira, man. She is really a really good fighter, and I'm actually very high on her as well. But I think the big flaw for her is she'll grimace and she'll bite down on her mouthpiece and then start swinging. So you really can see it coming. And she's not necessarily been tested. Whereas Yana Kunitskaya, man, she's been in the game for a while. She's fought some serious competition. And, like you said, Cyborg, Aspen Ladd, all these people she's lost to and learned from. And I think the advantage, like you're saying, going forward, where for Vieira is bigger, but Caitlin's bigger now, but Kunitskaya is used to being the bigger one in the cage. I still think that leads to Kunitskaya having the advantage because even though she's going to see somebody that's her same size, she's still going to be as long arms, still do the plan. And I do think her plan to success lives in the clinch. Bullying her up against it, bullying Vieira up against the cage, staying in the clinch, landing a little bit more elbows, not necessarily knees so you don't get taken down, because I do think once she gets taken down, it's going to be a long day for her. Personally, I'm going Kunitskaya by decision, strictly so she can keep it on the feet, lay things up in the clinch, get a little dirty with it, and make it a fight that Vieira's never seen. Really a bully of a dog match between two very, very experienced people in the cage. What do you think?
Well, this is a really interesting one. When I've thought about this, because like I've said before, normally I would just out of bias, I really enjoy Yana Kunitskaya. I like her fighting style. I like all of that. But for Ketlin Vieira, one thing that was interesting is that I saw that in her last 5, she's 4-1 in her last 5. And the only person she lost to was Irene Aldana. And what happened? That would expose that when you face off against a technical boxer, a technical striker, someone who is throwing those straight punches, not the big looping sit down on those joints. When you're fighting someone like that, Vieira can have a little little bit of an issue, and that's where Kunitskaya comes in, because she's a little more technical than Vieira is. She's actually a lot more technical than Vieira is as a striker. Now, here's the problem, like you alluded to, and I alluded to earlier as well, is that at the end of the day, Kunitskaya, her number one offensive thing, her tact, her style is to clinch up and utilize those big knees. Now, what happens if she clinches up against Vieira? I think Vieira grabs her, she jumps guard and puts her on the ground, and I think that's going to be a really bad spot. So it's one of those situations where you have a high-level fighter who's able to kind of take away some of Kunitskaya's, top skills, just because it's going to be a bad look. The same way we was talking about, if you're a grappler, you might not want to grapple with the dude who's a really high-level wrestler, or if you're the wrestler, you might not want to wrestle with the dude who's a really high-level grappler. So, I thought about this one for a long time, and even though I saw that Sijara Eubanks, when she fought Vieira last, even though she lost the fight, the majority of her success came when in the stand-up, when she was bouncing around, moving, doing her thing, jabbing, moving, all of that stuff, while Vieira was still very flat-footed. She's flat-footed the whole fight. But with all that being said, man, listen, Ashley Evans-Smith, decision win. Sarah McMahon, submission, round 2. That's a huge win over Sarah McMahon. Beat Kat Zingano via split decision, lost to Aldana, and then a win over Eubanks, man. So I'm going to go Ketlen Vieira, and I'm going a win by decision. I don't think no one's getting knocked out in this one, even though both fighters do got knockouts on their resume. I don't think anyone's getting submitted in this one, but I do think it'll go down to a decision.